We got an eventful sprint. Didn't work out for Kimi, but the race worked out for him. We got a great podium. We got Max versus Lewis. Double points for Alpine. Double points for Ferrari and Red Bull. Lando and George DNF, you know. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Around the Circuit, Apollo Media's Formula One podcast. As always, I'm your boy Junior, joined today by only Mark. Ivan is out. Mark.
Yes.
The Canadian Grand Prix.
Canadian Grand Prix.
What I don't know how the dramatic, chaotic, eventful.
All of the above?
All of the above. There's a lot of words that describe it. We finally got racing again after, 3-week break. And the Canadian Grand Prix delivered.
Absolutely.
I mean, where do we even start? There was just so much going on, literally from lights out or lights not out.
Yeah.
Shout out the lights guy or whatever technical problem that happened.
Yeah.
Lights went to go out and then they just paused. There was so before we get too carried away, we got to give a shout out to the Space City Racing Club. They threw on a watch party. What a great event. It was a great event there here in Houston. As local community of F1 fans got together. We all watched the Grand Prix together at a local spot. Shout out them. It was a great event. Like I said, we'll probably be out there more and get the pod hopefully involved in that. But it was a great event. And when the lights went to go out the first time, there was like an audible doot, doot, doot. Everybody said, and then there was nothing. It was nothing. It was just everybody you could tell like there was the silence. Everybody went to cheer, and then it was nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know what happened there. I still don't know exactly what it was that caused it.
I think maybe Arvin would have his trouble, and maybe he waved them down. So to add another formation lap since his car.
Maybe. I know his car wouldn't go into gear. I don't know if that played a factor into it. He ended up not getting a race. They had to do 2 more formation laps in order to give the marshals time to get his car off the track. They had to push it all the way back to the pit entry so the team could recover it. Unfortunately, he didn't get to race. He was having a really strong weekend, too. I think he qualified. He had a pretty decent race, sprint race. He made points. And then he had I think he qualified, P6, P7? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, somewhere around
for the actual race. And it was nice. He was having a great weekend up until that moment.
And he's been having a good rookie year so far.
Yeah, I mean, Liam hasn't. Liam has had his moments, but he definitely has his moments. Yeah, he's definitely, I think overall, safe to say he's getting outperformed by his teammate.
Yeah, it's
Arvid. Okay, he was P9. I had to double check it.
Yeah.
He was P9 right behind Charles and just ahead of Franco Colapinto, which we'll get into in a little bit because, we
gotta talk about him. Gotta talk about him.
But no, overall it was a great race, great weekend of F1. I mean, the sprint race was eventful. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
George ended up winning the sprint race. Him and Kimi went wheel to wheel. It got a little touchy there. I know Kimi finished that sprint pretty angry.
Pretty unhappy.
Had to get
Toto
back
had to get in
by Toto on the mic. Toto did what he does. I mean, he's no stranger to teammates fighting.
Yeah.
So Kimi being a young kid, I think some of his age showed in that first wheel-to-wheel battle with George there on the sprint. But I mean, he was on George's ass in that sprint. Like
he was with them the entire weekend. George throughout the weekend was showing why Canada is his best track.
Of course.
But all props to Kimi, man. He was right there with him the entire time. Every session, he was right there with him. Obviously, in that sprint race, it was touchy, especially that turn 1 incident.
Yeah.
It's tough because there's multiple angles where you look at it and you're like, okay, Kimi was side by side. And then you look at another angle, he's like, wait, he's ahead.
Yeah.
And then you look at another angle, he's like, is he ahead?
Yeah. It's the ahead at the apex thing that comes into play again.
And of course, after the race, you had George saying, well, turn 1's not exactly a corner you can overtake at.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, man.
I mean,
I didn't mind it because it's just two guys fighting. They kept it clean for most of the time.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was the fact that it wasn't looked into at all by the FIA.
I mean, they let them race. Like, essentially, as much as we talk about the inconsistencies of the FIA, like, they let them race, man. They let them race. They let the team handle it. It was team battle. By the way, McLaren, that's how you let teammates fucking fight.
Yeah, that's.
But
we had to wait till what? Canada last year, and Canada last year was like race 10.
Yeah.
Until we got something between them.
Yeah, it was a lot later in the season. Granted, we did have the 2 races disappear from the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, 5 rounds in, George looked strong. Like you said, it showed why Canada was the strongest track. He took pole for the sprint. He won the sprint, took pole in qualifying for the race.
Yeah.
And was...
Yeah, something they pointed out that I didn't even realize, Canada is the only place he's gotten multiple poles at.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That was his track, and honestly, he came into this weekend 20 points behind.
Yeah,
in the championship standings. Yes, it's very early. It's only round 5, but we've seen the past few years these early races matter. Mm-hmm. The early races mattered in 2024 when Max took the lead and still beat out Lando. The early races mattered in last year for
a lot of reasons for each driver.
Yeah, for all 3 of them. And obviously part of those early races was why Max he fell 2 points short last year. They matter. As much as we like to say, oh, it's still early, there's still a lot of season to go. I can understand George's comments after where he's like, this is his to lose. Yes, it's still early and you can still fight back. Max has showed you can still fight back. There's a lot of points left in the season, but to turn around and have 30 laps in the actual race of just wheel to wheel, swapping positions. I mean, I thought those 30 laps I was waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And there's been people out there who say, oh, Kimi can't race wheel to wheel. I think he proved them wrong this weekend.
Yeah. I think he's had his problems, but I think this year he has definitely shown that he can do it.
Yeah.
And, I give a lot of slack to George. Obviously it's still early. I don't know if I said it on the pod this last week before the race or like anything, but this was very early. But this was the race to turn it around.
Yeah, this was the commentators even said this was a must win for him. At least it felt like a must win because this was his track. He's been dominant here. I mean, it's shown one of his best tracks. He said multiple poles.
Before it was like, okay, like Kimi's coming to play, like but it's like it's still early. This was the first race where I'm like, if you're a George fan or even a Mercedes fan, you go, like that's not a good sign.
Yeah, no, and granted, it wasn't his fault. It turned out to be a technical issue that caused him to DNF. Kimi went on to win his 4th in a row, put 25 points on top of the championship lead. Now he's sitting almost 50 points ahead going into round 6. We have a week off. We turn around and go into Monaco. We start the European stint. It could get that gap could continue to grow. If Kimi turns around and wins at Monaco, which is going to be nuts. His second year in, he's winning at Monaco. He's 5 races in a row. Like, can you imagine? Like, the kid has all the momentum right now. All the momentum.
It's almost scary because you're like, okay, like, especially after like last year when Kimi, midway through the season he had that slump, but it's like he is on fire.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it, especially with the comparison to last year that Ivan has made with
Oscar.
Kimi and Oscar, but it's like Oscar wasn't moving like this last year.
No,
and Kimi's in a far superior car
I think
compared
it's safe
to those
to say
McLarens.
that Oscar was moving and like he was doing really good last year in a very fast car. It was obviously the fastest car on the track. And that's where kind of like the papaya rules kind of came into effect. Lando was still like, George took race 1 and then Kimi said, all right, cool. Now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And he's won the last 4 in a row. And he's wheel to wheel battling with his teammate.
Yeah.
They're pushing each other off track. They're banging wheels. Like they are fighting like for this championship legitly amongst the team. And Kimi's coming out on top.
And he's had bad luck throughout this. With the race starts. Granted, he's had some good luck come in the races, but he's gone through it and won every single time.
Yeah. I mean, we watched him drop from pole down to like P5, P6, and then turn around and still win the race.
Yeah, it's just like, this car is insane. Kimi is showing why Toto brought him up to
Yeah.
replace Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, and I think even Toto said it this weekend. He's like, when I see him going, it was when he was battling during the sprint. He compared him to Max.
Yeah.
And then after the race, I think it was, or maybe it was after the sprint. Somebody asked Max about Kimi, fighting George, and he's like, I see a bit of myself in him. Like,
Yeah.
that's a big compliment,
Yeah.
Like when you're compared to somebody like Max Verstappen as a 20-year-old kid, like it's a big compliment. You're only in your second year. Like you said, it shows exactly why Toto was like, well, if I can't have Max Verstappen, don't worry, I got this kid right here.
I had this kid. He's waiting. He's like he's the next. He's our next Lewis, our next Max, and damn, he is showing it.
And speaking of Lewis and Max, the podium.
Yes, the podium.
I know in my predictions last week, I predicted George to win because it was his strongest track. I predicted Lando P2, and I had Kimi in P3.
Yeah.
And outside of Kimi, it was like almost like a nightmare podium for me. And this turned out to be like a dream podium.
Yes.
Kimi win, Lewis P2, Max P3. We got Lewis's second podium of the year, Max's first of the year. He doesn't go. The podium list streak is over. It's safe to say Lewis has found some pace.
Yeah.
I still don't know how. Granted, we say this: Lewis and Max made podium with with a little bit of luck, because I don't know what the hell McLaren was thinking.
We'll get into that.
Starting we'll get into it now. Before we get too deep into the podium, I don't know what they were thinking. Yes, there was a chance for rain, and like Oscar said, like if it works out, we look like geniuses, and instead we look like idiots. But how many times, like I saw, like somebody made a compilation video already. You had 2 extra formation laps to pull in the pits. Yes, you start from the pit lane, but that car's fast enough to make that place up if you swap out the centers and put on some slicks.
I even said it while we were watching the race and the formation laps. I'm like, oh, McLaren's going to get bailed out. Like, they're just going to go into the pit. They never did. And
Oscar, like I said, the compilation video I saw was Oscar was like, hey, this is a bad idea. Hey, the rain has stopped. What are we doing? Like over and over again. And they had multiple opportunities. It was like, here you go. No. Okay. No. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Obviously, it didn't work. I mean, yes, their tires were warmer. Obviously, Lando got the great jump, shot out to P1, and then like 3 laps later, his tire, the inners were shot.
Yeah.
They pitted. Lando had reliability issues and had to pit again. They ended up sending him back out.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't finish the race. Oscar, once they pit him to take him off inners, he just never found the pace again. He finished P11, but I mean, he had qualified up in the top 5? I think he qualified. Yeah, he was P4.
Yeah.
They were P3 and P4.
Yeah.
They finished with a DNF and a P11.
Because it was another double Mercedes, double McLaren, double Ferrari.
It reminds me of what race was it? Was it Vegas or was it? There was a race last year. Maybe I want to say it was a night race. Whatever race it was, everybody pit except for them.
Oh yeah, Qatar.
Was it Qatar? Yeah. Okay. Last year when everybody pit and them 2 stayed out and then they ended up losing the race.
It had the rules where you needed two stops, and then the Hulkenberg crashed, and it was lined up perfectly to where you pit now.
And you don't have to stop again.
No, yeah. And they both stayed out.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't decide who they wanted to favor.
Yep.
Or maybe even double stack.
As good as McLaren has been these last few years, sometimes these strategy calls just don't make sense.
It just doesn't work. I was going to say, first off, I'm glad it wasn't Ferrari this year, especially at Canada. That didn't make this mistake. But it's like, you had an hour and a half before the race of your guys going out there on track to test the environment.
Mm-hmm.
You have radar systems that predict weather.
Yeah.
Granted, Audi and Cadillac both started on inters as well. I just don't see it, especially with those 2 formation lap added. I don't see how you continue to make that decision.
Yeah, I don't know. It was truly baffling. But it was funny to see after the post-race interview when they asked Max and Lewis about it, and Max was like, "Yeah, thank you." And he shot his thumbs up, and then Lewis was like, "Yeah," and he gave thumbs up too. And that's another thing. Like, getting back to the podium was seeing them 2 battle on Sunday. Like, they went wheel to wheel a little bit during the sprint, and then they turn around and they went wheel to wheel for a P2 or P3. They were both on podium. They were finished on podium. Max ended up overtaking Lewis like early in the race, and then later on towards the end, Lewis finally caught up to him, and he closed that. It was like almost like a 2-second gap.
Yeah.
2.5 second gap, and Lewis closed it pretty fucking quick.
Really quick.
I think right now the Ferrari is still a little bit faster than Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull is showing that they're gaining pace.
Yeah.
Lewis is gaining pace, at least on the Ferrari side. Charles still seems like he's struggling. I don't know what it is.
These past 2 tracks have always been tough for Charles.
Yeah.
So going into them, I was just like, man, whatever you can do, like, let's just do it.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, he still finished P4
yeah,
today.
quick shout out, like, to P4, and after everything that's happened this weekend, you know, there was that funny moment when we're going into Q3, and he was like, guys, in Q3, it's either the wall or P8. And thank God it was P8.
He finished P8. And then even at like towards the end of the race, he was like, it was like 17 laps to go, and he was like, just stop talking to me until the last lap, unless it's absolute critical information.
Yeah, he wasn't.
You can tell he's been frustrated.
Yeah, he wasn't going to do anything, but to come out of that with the P4, I love it. You know, it was a good weekend for Ferrari, especially for Lewis. You know, Charles not that much, but man, I'm happy with what I got. Man.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis P2, Max P3, Kimi P1. Like that was just, like I said, a dream podium. It was one of the greatest podiums we'll probably see in a long time. Like it's been a while since we've looked at a podium and been like, damn, like that's like, granted, it's still early in Kimi's career, but it's safe to say he's going to be a top driver for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to win at least one, if not multiple championships.
Yeah.
We might not see a podium like that. When was the last time we saw a podium even close to that? Like, I mean, I know back in the day, you probably had like a Prost, Senna, Schumacher podium. If you could probably find a race with that. But
I know maybe in
23,
Alonso, Lewis, and Verstappen.
And Max.
And even, God damn it, man. I can't think of the name now. He's at Aston Martin now.
Fernando Alonso?
No.
Adrian Newey.
And it was Newey on the podium.
That podium is probably the last time up until yesterday where you look at a podium and you're like, damn. That's a great podium. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is something that we can look. This race could possibly be one we look back at in the future and be like, man, that was a great podium. Like,
yeah.
Holy shit.
That was an amazing podium, man.
I said it Sunday when we were watching the race. I could watch Lewis and Max battle.
Absolutely, yeah.
All day. And like after 2021, where they were just like either like consistently trying to fucking kill each other.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, especially with Lewis finding pace right now and Max finally getting, like, them two they're better when they're racing up front, obviously. Yeah. And to see them two battling for a podium spot was just like, that alone, as much as it sucked to see as a Max fan, to see him lose P2 to Lewis and drop to P3, I was happy with the podium.
Yeah.
But I just watching them go wheel to wheel is just, every time it does it for me. Because that's what you want. You want to see your greats fighting at the front.
Yeah.
Yes, it's cool to see different. And then somebody brought up a point, one of our frequent, watchers, they brought up a point like to me, this has been a pretty, like, yeah, Mercedes has kind of dominated, but like as Ferrari, especially like Lewis and Red Bull and especially Max start to find pace, this season, especially how early it is, could get pretty competitive.
Yeah, most definitely.
Really quick. Like,
I mean, those all the talks about the upgrades that McLaren were going to bring. Obviously, we got to see a tiny bit of it.
Yeah.
They messed up during the race, but, and then Ferrari is going to get that big upgrade sooner than later. We don't know what's going to happen with Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping. It could be delusion, but, man, this season could get even better.
It definitely has the potential to get very interesting. Podium threw all our predictions out the window except for, was it you or was it Ivan? When y'all had Kimi winning the race?
It was Ivan.
I think it was Ivan had Kimi winning the race. I think we were all pretty stout on having George on pole, which happened. Said he ran into bad luck, DNF'd. Lando ended up running into bad luck, DNFing. So that took, after their horrendous strategy call, took him out of the race completely. We had Alex Albon get taken out by Oscar Piastri. I don't know how Oscar didn't DNF too, because that collision, I'm still confused at what he was doing.
I no idea. And what, he was trying to pass a lapped car too, right?
They were they were both passing a lap where I think Alex was
Yeah,
I don't know. Oscar had a very interesting race this weekend.
it was weird.
Took out.
We didn't even see it live. They didn't show it
showed
until
it like
later.
30 laps later.
But
I know Checo, his suspension just decided it didn't want to work
like
anymore.
a broken Lego piece.
Yeah. And then Alonso, Aston Martin, Alonso didn't get to finish the race. So there was still a lot of DNF.
2 laps he was in P10 though on the points.
Yeah. I mean, he was up there for a little bit and then he ran into issues and then boom, he was out.
Yeah.
There was also, not to mention, there was a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
Red Bull had their best finish with Isaac finishing P5 and Max on the podium. And Isaac finishing P5 somehow with having served over like 30 seconds worth of penalties was nuts to me.
Yeah.
Because like P5, between P5 and P6 at one point, there was like a 40-second gap.
Yeah. And it also helped. That's when the VSC came out.
Yeah.
So he was able to pit and it wasn't as, fatal as the regular.
Because he had I think 2 separate, like a 5-second penalty, like a 10-second penalty, and then he had a stop and go penalty.
Yeah.
So like they were, I think George got a penalty or a fine for when he threw his headrest out, and then who else was it that got penalties? It was a couple people got penalties.
Yeah.
It was. I feel like the stewards had their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they had their hands full for sure.
And then Ivan's not here, but we still got to mention it. The double points finish for Alpine with Franco Colapinto finishing P6, career best.
Yeah,
I said it like two or three episodes ago. Alpine has found something.
Yeah,
they found something in that Williams engine, and that Mercedes engine, that power unit that's the top one on the grid right now, and Franco is. As much as we talked about Franco possibly losing his seat and not, he's been performing lately.
Yeah, we first saw it in China when there was them and Haas, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. When they had that battle in the midfield. And we were like, man, like, Alpine looks good. Caught in the middle of it. And we're like, Alpine is moving right now. Like, what if they, I'm like, oh my God, they've unlocked something in those Mercedes engines that McLaren haven't, because that was the race where they didn't even start. Yeah. Which is like, again, fatal for McLaren. You didn't start that race. Then this race, you get nothing. Yeah. That's gonna affect you long run in the constructors. That's because the constructors is already locked up by Mercedes, but that second spot is still open. It's wide open
and missing possibly up to 100. Well, not 100 points, but like 2 races worth of points in the constructors championship. That trophy's not gonna stay home for long.
It's both trophies
are good for you, but that trophy don't look like it's gonna stay home this year.
It is gone.
Williams almost had double points too. If it wasn't for Albon getting taken out, Carlos finished points, but Albon was up there for a while. That Mercedes engine is just providing for everybody. Alpine, Williams, McLaren, Mercedes themselves. That power unit is still safe to say it's the strongest one on the grid. There's people that have said Red Bull possibly is that Ford, Red Bull powertrain, whatever you call it. I want to see what this. I think we're 2 races out from seeing Red Bull's big weight reduction. I think they're supposed to drop like 6 kilograms and at the Red Bull ring. So if Max and Isaac can keep performing like this and capitalizing on some luck and finishing high in the points, possibly podiums, with another big upgrade package, who knows? Like I said at the beginning of the season, as bad as this car has been, if you get Max even close, he's gonna do what he does.
Yeah, it's also just a quick something like kind of disappointing for Haas. I really thought at the beginning of the year those Ferrari engines would help, especially with how we saw in the beginning of the year. But shout out Ollie Behrman. He took the final point spot. Yeah, he took the final point. Beat Ocon again. I know we talked about it last week. Ocon has said, I'm here to stay.
Even Io has come out and said, like, this was all hearsay. There was no arguments. He's not going anywhere.
A similar man said the same thing. His name goes by Jack Duhan, so we don't know for sure what's going to happen. But it's all love to Ocon.
Hey man, if Duhan don't get in the seat again, we said it in our group chat. He's got a spot on the mic. Post race interviews or something, post race analysis, because he sounded pretty good in that on that post sprint.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because Ollie, like you said, finishes the point, and then Ocon was what, like P14?
It also
P14.
makes me like wonder, man, because you see what Kimmy's doing, man. Down there in F2, Ollie and Kimmy were the guys. They were two guys. They're teammates. They were battling it out. We saw what Ollie did in his debut in the Ferrari, man. It just makes me wonder what Ollie could be doing in a top team car.
Yeah.
Especially like maybe a Ferrari.
I mean, because him, Isaac, Kimmy, they're the big three out of that rookie class that are like, and two of them are in top cars.
Yeah.
You said if you put Ocon in a Ferrari and let them three just go. You know what I mean? Like, let the next generation.
Yeah, like Ollie and Gabby, man. They're just.
What's crazy is Kimmy might have a freaking championship under his belt before Ocon even gets in a top car. I mean, not Ocon.
Ollie.
Ollie even gets in a top car.
Yeah, with Ollie and Gabby, man, those two guys are amazing
too,
drivers. Like, if you put them in top cars, I do think they're going to be battling up there.
Yeah.
For top spots, but man, hopefully. I'm not like saying I want Lewis to retire, but his time is very limited. We don't know how many years he has left.
He says he's going to be here for a while.
Yeah, he says he's going to be here for a while, but I know
if he follows
eventually
that, like
when he
just and ends up at Aston Martin or something.
I hope not. But
I hope not, because I think he could go out a lot better than that. But
yeah, I think eventually when he does decide to hang it up, I think Ollie is going to be right there behind him, taking that seat at a Ferrari, and hopefully it's a Ollie and Charles lineup that we're running in a few years. Hopefully.
I don't know, man.
We talked
about it.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
The end of this year could get very weird with the driver lineups.
You know what? I'm praying. It's what I need. I think that lineup could do some damage in a couple of years, but that's for the future.
I mean, also in Canada, I got to mention the F1 Academy. We mentioned it last week. F1 Academy did race, and shout out Team Red Bull.
Yeah.
Alisha Palmowski.
Yeah.
She won the first race and the feature race on Sunday. Won both races by over 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She's the championship leader in the F1 Academy. I think the only other person I would be rooting for outside of Alisha right now is Alba Larson, the Ferrari driver. Unfortunately, she ran into some bad luck this weekend. But we got to give the women
3 to 4 hours after the race, and then they want to do it. Like, come on, what are we doing?
We got to give the women their flowers too, absolutely. Because they put on some good races this weekend. They had 3 races. I didn't realize they were racing 3 different races. So it was the opening race, the reverse grid, and then the feature race. Usually they only run 2, but they are making up for the race in Saudi Arabia that got canceled. So the next time they race 3 in one weekend will be Austin, if I'm not mistaken. Which will be cool because I hopefully get to go see at least one of those races.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Outside of F1, it was a very interesting weekend for motorsports. We got to mention it briefly. I know it's an F1 podcast. We got to mention Indy 500.
Yeah.
Definitely provided.
Yeah.
Definitely put on a show.
Does what it does, man.
Indy 500 is an iconic race. Everybody knows it. If you're into Indy racing outside of F1, we've mentioned, watch motorsports, man. Not just F1. Watch motorsports. We're all fans of motorsports.
Yeah.
Like I said, we talked about Max racing in GT last week. This week, we were all watching either NASCAR or Indy or both. Trying to watch the finish of the Indy 500, and then I think you had it up on your phone.
Yeah.
We were both trying to watch it, and then trying to watch the chaotic start of the Canadian Grand Prix. I know Motorsports Christmas was technically canceled because we didn't have Monaco the same day as the 500, and then the Coke 600 in NASCAR. But hey, man, if the Canadian Grand Prix provide,
I said
a show
it
like this, I'll take that over Monaco every day.
I said it in our group chat, man.
As it is,
we did the live stream last year, and that was all fun. But Monaco wasn't great. That Indy 500, it wasn't, compared to others, it wasn't great either.
Yeah, I
don't remember how the Coca-Cola race was. I forget. But this year, every race delivered.
Every race. Well, to say the Indy 500, I think it came down to the last 7 laps, and there was 2 cautions.
Yeah.
So then we got that one last lap of racing.
2-lap shootout.
Yeah, it was just a shootout, and then
shout out Will Buxton, man. He fucking killed it on the call.
Will Buxton, our guy, killed it on the call.
Bro,
killed it. I went back and watched that like 2 or 3 times because I was like, hell yeah. I'm not a huge Indy guy, but I will watch like some of the bigger races. Obviously, the Indy 500.
Especially because Pato was up there. He was in the running for the race.
Pato almost had a shot. Who we thought might have been on the grid this year.
Yeah,
he had a shot at winning the race, and then
those cautions came out.
The cautions came out. It kind of threw everybody. And then the one kid thought he was going to win it. What was his name?
And then the winner's name,
Rosenquist.
Yeah,
Rosenquist ended up winning the closest finish in Indy history. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. It was just, and then the Coke 600. I didn't get to watch it, but I know you were watching it.
Yeah,
and then it got called with like 20
with about
laps to go.
Not even like 12 laps to go. Rain came in, and it was tough. NASCAR fans complained, but it was just like it was wet. It was gonna be a while and by the time you start racing, it could be 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and Danny Suarez, man.
Hey, shout out Danny Suarez. What a great story for him too.
Yeah,
the race was official. They had enough race under the under the time to be considered official, and
he earned it because there was constant restarts, and he defended like a son of a bitch.
Yeah,
each and every single time the race started.
If you don't know who he is, look into his story a little bit.
Yeah. Didn't even know if he was going to have a seat this year.
Didn't even know if he was going to have a seat this year. Got dropped from his team last year. Joined a new team this year. And then turned around and won the Coke 600. One of the biggest races in the series. Yeah. So.
Love it. Love motorsports.
Motorsports provided Sunday. It was a great day for motorsports. Great day for F1. Great weekend for F1. Like I said, as much as people complain about sprints, we got an eventful sprint. Didn't work out for Kimi, but the race worked out for him. We got a great podium. We got Max versus Lewis. Double points for Alpine. Double points for Ferrari and Red Bull. Lando and George DNF'd, Like, what more could you ask for? Like, it was a great
amazing weekend. Man.
Great weekend. The only thing we will say is we do have to send our condolences and our thoughts and prayers out to the family of Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
That was as good as the weekend was for motorsports leading into the weekend. Kyle Busch did unexpectedly pass away. Very young, 41.
Yeah.
That's only 6 years older than I am, almost. So, I think it was shocking to all of motorsports. I mean, we saw motorsports across the world all pay their tribute to him. Yeah. So, we definitely had to do our part and say, send our prayers, our thoughts are with him, his family, his children. I'm sure we'll see his son racing one day.
And most definitely.
And he'll carry on that legacy. But it was definitely, a sad moment leading into the weekend. And then the weekend did what motorsports does, and it provided with tributes from all of the series. Everybody paid their condolences. Everyone had a silent lap at either 8 or 18.
Yeah.
I think Indy had it at 18. NASCAR had it at 8. I don't think F1 had a silent lap in all the chaos, but they did pay tribute, I think, beforehand. So it was good to see. As much as we love to bicker between our favorite series, motorsports came together and united for that moment.
Yeah,
and even he was a legend in the game. He was a legend in the sport.
Yeah, even non-motorsports, everybody, basketball games, hockey games, paying respects.
It shows how much of a legend he was. Like his legacy is going to live on for a while in the sport. Even outside of it,
he is truly a legend of NASCAR. He's one of those guys where, like, if you don't even know motorsports, you don't know NASCAR. You tell him Kyle Busch, you're like, I know
that name. Yeah, it's one of those names where, like, even if you don't follow the sport to a T, like, you know who that is.
Yeah.
So sad to see, but we did want to send our condolences out to him, his family, and anyone who
just for 6 days prior to win his 69th. Truck series.
Yeah,
race.
He just won the weekend before, and
it was so eerie to see.
Hug your people, man. Yeah. Tell them you love them, because like he said. I think he said, why is this one me? They asked him that race. Why is this one so important? He's like, you never know when it's going to be your last one, and that's what we're here for motorsports fans. It's like we want to see these people, these legends, be great. Because we never know when we're going to see him race again,
Of course, Danny Suarez, he was a close friend. So seeing that was really cool.
I think there was a story behind Kyle and that team and Danny winning that was just kind of like, holy shit, So, man, watch motorsports. That's all I could say is watch motorsports, hug your people, and tell them you love them. Because
absolutely,
it was as sad as it was coming into the weekend. It was, like I said a couple times already, just. The weekend provided.
Yeah. Good weekend, good provide. Almost a good tribute to Kyle.
Yeah, for sure. Like, as somebody who was like some of our favorites, where racing is just in his blood, like this weekend provided for sure. But But yeah, man, I mean, what? Any last thoughts on the Canadian Grand Prix? Like I said, it was just there was a lot going on. It just
Yeah, no, I mean, tough for George. These next 3 races are definitely ones to look out specifically for George.
Yeah.
He needs to, in my eyes, to win 2 out of
yeah,
3.
he's got it. He's got to go into this European stint and he's got to fight back.
Yeah.
Got to fight back. You let Kimi take 5 in a row,
Yeah.
6 in a row. Like we got Monaco next. We have a week off. We have Monaco next, and then we turn around and I think it's back to back Monaco, and then we're in Barcelona. Then there's a week off, and we're at the Red Bull Ring.
And I am especially excited for Monaco. After all the talk this with Ferrari, how our straight line speed isn't great, but we are great in the corners. We are one of the best teams in the corners.
Yeah.
With how good Lewis and Charles can be at Monaco, I am very excited.
It's gonna be interesting. It's
I'm
gonna
very
be
excited.
A good one. Yeah,
it's crazy. I'm actually excited for Monaco this year with the new regs.
I'm very, very interested in seeing what these new regs can provide there.
Yeah.
Granted, the cars aren't that much smaller, but they are smaller.
Yeah.
The regs are different. There's going to be, the deployment and how the teams utilize their energy through a track like this. It's going to be interesting, but we can get into that a little deeper next week. We will be back next week to preview Monaco. We'll give our predictions, kind of talk about any news that comes out between now and then, and any chaos that might happen. I don't know. Like I said, if Canada, which we talked about is a great track for racing in F1, can provide like this, hopefully there's going to be more tracks. Hopefully Monaco can be something that kind of the name brings back to, to the sport, because like people see Monaco now and they're kind of like, yeah, it's big for the show, but the racing there has been subpar lately.
So hopefully
I'm hoping these new regs, as much as I hate them,
narrative,
hopefully these new regs will change the narrative a little bit. Like you said. No last thoughts?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Subscribe to us, support us. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the Canadian Grand Prix or any of the other motorsports races that happened this weekend. Like I said, it wasn't Motorsports Christmas, but it was.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Subscribe. Follow us on all our socials. We're at Around the Circuit on Instagram and TikTok, and we're at Around the CCT on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. My personal is at Maruchan Warrior.
MPCH down.
You got Mark. Follow us. We'll be there. Ivan should be back next week so we can get his predictions for Monaco and his thoughts on anything that he might have missed out this week. Until next week, we'll see y'all. We're out of here. Watch Motorsports.